He skillfully disassembled the bullet tips, gathered all the gunpowder together, and adjusted the weight of each bullet to create a simple trigger-activated landmine. He then dug a trough outside the yard, lined it with waterproof sheeting, and filled it with high-purity No. 98 gasoline. As for the device to detonate the trap, he placed it on the only path leading there. Finally, he laid down sod to cover all traces. Since there were so many traps set, he had to mark them on a map. Otherwise, he might accidentally trigger one himself. Next, he hammered nails into a piece of wood and hung it above the tunnel entrance. He then sharpened each piece of rebar to create steel spikes, which he laid out beneath the attic. He even shortened his double-barreled shotgun and positioned it where enemies were most likely to pass. Finally, he carved several spikes from a dagger to assemble an automatic trigger mechanism. But these traps could only serve as a passive defense. For a head-on confrontation, he still needed weapons and gear. He adjusted his idle compound bow to its maximum draw weight. Yet what was most outrageous was that he had somehow acquired landmines and a substantial amount of C4 explosives to cut off the enemy's escape routes. Rambo had no intention of leaving alive. From cold weapons to firearms, he had practically emptied his entire arsenal, all to ensure these despicable bastards would never return. And the one who drove the old man to the brink was none other than the adopted daughter he had raised from infancy. He had never married or had children of his own. It wasn't until he was in his 60s that he adopted a daughter. But on the very day she turned 18, she suddenly announced she'd found her biological father, though he knew full well the man was a scumbag. Out of love for his daughter, Rambo agreed to her request.
You can't just protect me forever.
As long as I'm around, he's never gonna hurt you again. No one is.
It was his promise as a father, and the greatest assurance he could give her. But what the girl never expected was that the biological father she'd worked so hard to find would turn out to be a psychopath even worse than a scumbag. The man's words cut like a sword, instantly shattering all her illusions. Even as he coldly shut the door, she hadn't yet recovered from her grief. By the time she ran out of the apartment in tears, her bestie was already waiting impatiently. She wanted to drive back immediately, but her bestie, citing the danger of driving at night, insisted on taking her to a bar to unwind. The girl also wanted a place to let off some steam, so she followed her bestie to the bar. But the moment she stepped onto the dance floor, she was hit on by a guy with a mustache. The girl was innocent and had no idea about the dirty tricks of the nightlife scene. After sizing her up from head to toe, the man finally set his sights on his prey for the night. As the sedatives mixed with alcohol, the girl's nightmare began. By the time she came to, she was already in the hands of human traffickers. The place was filled with kidnapped girls, but there was no way to escape. Any girl with a decent appearance was injected with hallucinogens, then forced to serve clients, reduced to tools for criminals. By the time Rambo received the news of his daughter's disappearance, it was already the afternoon of the next day. Upon hearing the news, Rambo flew into a rage. He hopped in his pickup truck and crossed the Mexican border. Following the information on the note, he quickly tracked down the girl's biological father, but the man couldn't care less about his daughter's well-being. After a few